Hello, guys. Welcome to another exciting episode on the show, Control or Be Controlled, a podcast designed to help you start thinking differently and take control of your life. And I remain your host, Darlington. Today's guest is Ida Schmid. Okay? Ida, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here, Darlington. Thank you for having me.
All right, so she is a classically trained opera singer, international recording artist, Grammy voting member, filmmaker, and founder of the non-profit Game Changers Network. Ida, once again, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
All right, so I would also like you to introduce yourself to my audience.
Yes, I would love to. So I am, as you say, I'm an international recording artist. I started off singing when I was young. So I became an opera singer when I was like 13, actually. So I trained all through college as a lyric soprano and really honed my voice and the tone of my voice and really got those chops, those skills. And then since then, I've been touring internationally. I became more well known for cultural diplomacy, a lot of my international music and tours. I started out opening 5-star hotels in emerging markets in China. So they would have these big gala events and I would come in and perform for their showstopper event. And it was so fun. It was such a blast because these were cities in China that this was like the first big 5-star hotel that they were getting. And the audience and the community were so excited. And it was such a beautiful cultural immersion for me. And through that, I was really learning about performing, learning about people, learning about how music and sound is so universal. Here I was I did that for like 10 years straight, performing in English to a Mandarin speaking audience, but we were all having the time of our lives. It was very fun because music is universal and we were able to communicate in ways that, were sound and vibration. And I learned a lot through that process and got myself into the Grammy Awards and moved on to more international things like in the Middle East and in Pakistan and in India, and doing a couple of TV shows along the way, to which I am here now promoting my new movie that's going to be coming out called Voice of the Earth. It's my lifetime passion project. It is about how sound and nature heals and how we as humans connect through frequency.
All right. So I have some questions here for you, and I would like us to get into them. Okay.
Great.
So after a successful international career as an opera singer, what made you begin asking the question, if sound can move a room, what is it doing to the body?
Yeah. So I was really seeing, this is, 10, 15 years in, watching how sound really changed people. If you get as a performer, if you get all of the stars align, you can really move people. And the same as a listener I was experiencing, I kept asking the question, what was the reason, what were the feelings behind why people were crying? What was the thing that was behind all of that? It's the same for me when you listen to a song or when you really connect to music. It can really move you. It can make you feel better. It can help you move through emotions. And so it was really something that was sticking with me. It felt like the next level of understanding sound and vibration was to get to that. And so, in making the movie, I really understood that how sound And vibration is everything. It's everywhere. It's who we are. We are energetic beings. And so, frequency can really, affect our bodies. And so I studied with John Stuart Reid, who's a really wonderful, researcher about sound and vibration. And so you can see physically through his work how, for example, how your cells are changed and how your body is affected through vibration. You can see through cymatics, which is the visualization of sound, how you have like a wonky looking cell, and then it turns into this beautiful sacred geometry. And so, I would see like that when you are listening to music or when you're listening to sound, your stress hormones drop, your blood pressure drops. There's real physical reactions. When you sing together as a choir, your heart rate is in sync with each other. There are all of these really beautiful things that happen, and I just wanted to get deeper into it. And so the making of the movie was my excuse to do that.
Thank you so much, Hida. That was a wonderful answer. So, the documentary Voice of the Earth explores sound as a healing technology. What inspired you to make this film?
And I thought that maybe it would be healing music so that you could hear the waterfall, you could hear the bird sounds, you could really get a feel, you could really live in that song. But what happened with the making of the movie was that it turned into something so much bigger. It incorporated all of this understanding of cymatics, understanding that, the healing aspects of these nature sounds, that when you walk in the forest, your body actually changes. The trees are releasing things that we interact so beautifully with nature that it affects your immune system, and you're like so much healthier. It boosts your immune system to be walking in the trees and with nature. And, it was a way to incorporate the visualization of sound, the cymatics, through the movie to help people understand that, nature and, the making of sound, the being in nature as well as music is so healing on this just very fundamental way. And so that was what I wanted to share with people, because I think we know that, but to be able to see it scientifically and to be able to explain it and to be able to really look at the cell changing into this beautiful cymatics, that was my motivator.
Many people hear terms like frequency or sound healing and immediately become skeptical. What does the science actually tell us? So much.
The science is the juiciest part. The science tells us that John Stuart Reid is a well-known acoustic engineer researcher, and he has for many years been doing these double-blind placebo studies that have, well, not placebo, but it's a double-blind study. It's a scientific method of looking at what happens to the body when frequency is and when sound is influenced. So, for example, he took 2 petri dishes of cells with cancer cells. These are cancer cell ridden human cells. And in each of these cells and each of these experiments separately, this was the control, he did nothing to the cancer cells. Those stayed separately. And to this group of cells, he put in healing music. He put in sounds of whales, whale sounds, with this beautiful, like very healing music sound with a well-known opera singer. And then he filmed the whole thing. So what you see is the petri dish on the left, the cancer cells are dying. They're all dying. And in the end, those cancer cells did die. So he ended up with and you can see it in the video because they film it microscopically like that. And so you see these cancer cells dying when you're leaving them off. On this side, the healing music cells grew and healed the cancer from each one of the cells. And so it was it ended up just exponentially healing all the cells. And you can see the cells transforming from cancer, unhealthy, dying cells to living, thriving, multiplying cells. And it was an extraordinary example of how frequency and how vibration can affect you on the cellular level.
Okay, thank you so much. So, talking about semantics, we talk about semantics, the study of how sound affects matter. What is semantics and why is it so fascinating?
Yeah, it's so fascinating because it's the visualization of sound. So, you hear it, you can hear that, but you can't see what that looks like. The sound bubble is so interesting. It's not a wave like we think of these sound waves. Actually, they're sound bubbles. And they come out every time you make a sound, every time you hear a sound, they're sort of all around you, right? It's a sound bubble and it comes and it expands and expands and it expands. And John Stuart Reid's research has shows that it expands infinitively so that it just keeps going and going and going. And in fact, it goes into space and goes into so each sound, each vibration that you make is rippling. And so healing sounds, healing frequencies are rippling out into the environment and affecting the energy of that space. The same way unhealing sounds, unhealing frequencies are rippling out in the same way. And so that's why if you are exposed to very painful sound, very loud sound for a long period of time, that's why they do in those war, when they have someone in prison or a war, they give them that really, really dark, scary music over and over, and they don't let them sleep because that sound is very, very mentally destabilizing. And the opposite is true. And so John Stuart Reid and the visualization of what a sound bubble looks like, it looks like the most incredibly beautiful sacred geometry. Such a gorgeous thing. And you can see what a sound bubble looks like in water. You can see what your voice sound looks like. And it's important for people to be able to see what's really happening physically when you are exposed to frequency.
Okay, thank you so much, Hida. So, do you think modern society has become disconnected from silence and intentionally listening? And what does that constant noise have on us? Do you think modern society has become disconnected from silence?
Sure. Yeah. Disconnected from silence. Yeah, most assuredly. Now we have to set our intention to allow in more silence and allow in those sacred spaces because it's so incredibly healing. We're feeling more anxious because we're on our phones more. We have so much more stimulation. We have so much to do, so much external, but really the healing part is internal and the healing part is in silence. The healing part is in a silent walk through nature, interacting with the trees and the water and the sounds of nature and the healing elements of the earth, and allowing your brain waves to settle, They showed that experiment too. If you're in fight or flight, if you're very destabilized, having a walk in nature in silence and allowing nature to come in, all of the different elements really lowers your heart rate. It lowers your blood pressure, and it stabilizes your nervous system, and your amygdala, that fight or flight, is really relaxed. It's really beautiful to see those things, but we have to set those intentions, right? If we can't sit alone in silence, then we go for a walk in nature. It's a very beautifully healing way to be in a meditative state.
Right. So here is my final question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you hope audiences take away after watching Voice of the Earth?
The voice, the movie itself, Voice of the Earth, is a spiritual journey. Honestly, it is an interaction with nature and sound, and it is the process of healing. What I hope that they take away is a modality to bring peace into their lives. I hope that it's a good example of how, when you interact with nature, that it speaks back to you, that you have actually this dialogue that's happening between nature and yourself. It's sort of what happens in the movie. I wasn't expecting that to happen. I was expecting to go and write this song with these musicians, but actually nature began speaking to me, and I began to be able to really understand what the earth was saying. And I began to understand this interaction between us and nature, us and frequency, us and vibration, which is at the fundamental of what we are as beings. We are energy. We are frequency. And so I hope that people can understand that a little more, and that they can see through my journey of healing and difficult, so many difficult situations, a pathway for them to utilize.
All right. Thank you so much, Hita. For someone curious about using sound intentionally in their everyday life, what's one simple practice they can begin today?
I think toning is a beautiful thing. So they have done studies on humming. Humming actually affects your vagus nerve. It's your nerve that, it's your nerve that brings you joy, basically. I could describe it like that. So if you're going throughout your day, you're never humming when you're mad or feeling dysregulated or feeling out of control. You're humming when you're feeling joyful. So intentionally humming throughout your day and, singing yourself a little melody. The humming resonates. It resonates all in here too, all within your face. And so it creates your own tone that helps to regulate your body and bring good energy in, and helps to dissipate some of the dysregulated energies we're always interacting with all kinds of energies. But, that humming throughout the day or in different times is really a nice practice. Like humming when you're driving, singing along to the radio is another thing. Another practice is what I like to do is, in the morning as part of my meditative practice, I do an Om chanting. Om is this ancient 3,000-year-old sound. And the combination of the being very open sound and then the which is the humming, that combination has been used by indigenous for thousands of years to get into a meditative state, to get into a trance, to heal, to regulate, to bring joy, to motivate. So I do like to sort of chant that so that I can invoke that kind of feeling that I'm like connecting to the ancients, connecting to the ancestors, and toning in the same way they would have, with the same sound that I have. You know, this vocal cords are these two little vocal cords here, but they make such a big, glorious sound, and your whole body feels it. It reverberates through your whole body. So just chanting Om in the morning when it feels right is a great practice.
All right, Ida, thank you for such a thoughtful conversation about music, science, creativity, and the power of listening.
Yes, thank you. It's my pleasure. It was great to speak to you.
So for those who would like to connect with you and learn more about your work, how can they do that?
Yeah, so you can buy Voice of the Earth on vibrationaljourneys.com, the website. That is our overall series. Voice of the Earth is the first movie, and then the series is Vibrational Journeys. And my website is heatherschmid.com.
All right, once again, thank you so much. This has been an exciting episode. So do want to check out Voice of the Earth. Wherever you are, make sure you check out Voice of the Earth and you check out our website as well. So I want to thank my audience, because you guys are the reason why we are doing this every day. Without you guys, there will be no control or be controlled. So once again, Hida, thank you so much for blessing me with this wonderful episode. And do have
Thank
a
you
wonderful
so
day.
much. Thank you, Darlington. Likewise.